it's Mao from Sparkly Belly. Two-panel circle skirts are very versatile. They look flattering on all body types and they are the easiest skirts to make in my opinion. To make a nice flowy circle skirt, try to pick a light material such as chiffon and satin. In this video, you will see how to make a two-panel circle skirt and a pattern. Once you make a pattern, you can use it over and over again with a different fabric to create a circle skirt that fits you perfectly. So let's get started. To make a circle skirt, you need fabric of your choice. You can find how much fabric you need on my blog. Elastic. I'm using 1-inch wide elastic. And your sewing tools such as measuring tape, marker, scissors, a pair for paper and another pair for fabric, matching color thread, pins, needles, and sewing machine. And for making a pattern, you need a big sheet of paper or tape pieces of paper together to create one big sheet. I often cut open paper bags to make patterns. If you spread a circle skirt on the floor, it should make a perfect circle. And this is why it's called circle skirt. A two-panel circle skirt is made of two half-circle panels. And so we will make a pattern that is a quarter of a circle. First, take two measurements, the fullest part of your hip and the length of the skirt. Then do some quick math to find the lengths of A and B to create this pie shape. If you don't have a calculator lying around, download the Custom Measurement Caculator from my blog and just plug in your measurements to get the numbers you need. So A is hip measurement divided by 6.28 and B is A plus the length of your skirt. Once you have these numbers, take your measuring tape and create this quarter circle on a big piece of paper. Then cut out the pattern. Now take your fabric and fold it in half. Place the pattern on the fabric. Make sure one side of the quarter circle is aligned with the raw edge and the other side is aligned with the folded edge. Pin the pattern to the fabric and cut along the lines. It makes it easier if you put weights or heavy objects on the pattern so the fabric doesn't move around. If you use chiffon like I am using here, you will notice that the fabric moves around quite a bit, even with the weights. Don't worry, you don't need to be super accurate here, and you will see why in a minute. Just make sure you cut as close to the pattern as you can, and when you open it, it should be a half circle. Repeat this step to create another half circle. Now we make a casing or a tube for your elastic to go through. First, cut your fabric into a rectangle. To determine the length and width, you can plug in your numbers in the formulas or use the Custom Measurement Caculator from my website. The length of the rectangle should be your hip measurement plus 4 inches or 10 centimeters, and the width of your rectangle should be the width of your elastic times 2 plus 1 inch or 2.5 centimeters. Next, put the right side of the rectangle and the wrong side of a half circle panel together and align the top edge and place pins. It is a bit tricky because you are aligning a straight edge against the curved edge. You can try pinning them from one end to the other end like this, but you may end up not having enough fabric because the curved edge tends to stretch out. So another way to do this is first mark 1/8 points with pins by folding the piece in half, mark with a pin, then fold in half again and repeat until you have 7 pins placed on the fabric. Then do the same for the skirt, but just for quarter points. So you mark with 3 pins. And match up the pins. This ensures that the fabric is distributed equally. Place as many pins as you need to secure the 2 layers, and when you sew, hold the 2 layers nice and tight and ease in the layers into your sewing machine steadily. Sew along with the 1/2 inch or 1.2 centimeter seam allowance. Once the first half circle panel is finished, continue with the second half circle panel. And it looks like this. Then flip the whole thing over so you see the right side of the skirt with the wrong side of the casing at the top edge. Pressing the seam makes your work easier here. Then fold the top edge of the casing over with a 1/2 inch or 1.2 centimeter seam allowance and press. Then fold it over to line up the edge with the stitching line from earlier and place pins. Then just top stitch close to the fold. Make sure the casing is big enough to fit your elastic here. Now put your elastic around your waist where the skirt should sit and make sure it is tight enough. Cut the elastic and put it through the casing with a safety pin. And then stitch together the ends securely. Here the right side of the elastic is twisted. Don't do this. I realized it after I stitched the ends together, so I had to rip the seam apart and redo it. So be careful and check before you stitch the elastic. Then insert one end of the casing into the other and hide the raw edge by folding the fabric inside a 1/4 inch or 5 millimeters or so, and then sew it straight down to close up the casing. At this point, hang up the skirt for at least a few days or a week. This is because fabric tends to stretch, so if you hem the skirt without letting it to stretch, you will have a skirt with an uneven edge. This is why you don't have to cut your fabric precisely to the pattern if you're using lightweight fabric like chiffon, because this type of fabric tends to stretch a lot. Once the skirt has stretched out, put on the skirt, mark where it has stretched, then hem the edge. You can either get a friend to help you mark the hem with pins, or find something that is as tall as your skirt length and hang the skirt there. I found my fiance's dumbek plus a chair creates my skirt length, so they act as my dress form. Then just hem the skirt the way you want. If you have a serger, go ahead and use it. I don't have a serger, so I just do small zigzag stitches all the way around. Same for the straight size. You can just zigzag stitch or use a serger, and if you want a slit on either side, leave the sides like this. If you want a continuous circle skirt with no opening, just straight stitch down along the straight edge. It's up to you. Now you have a 2-panel circle skirt that fits you. This is the simplest circle skirt for belly dance costumes, and you can modify, add layers, or add more panels as you like. I hope this was helpful. Now I have 2 favors to ask you. Number 1, if you make a circle skirt or if you have your own tips on making a circle skirt, share them on Sparkly Belly's Facebook page. It'll help other belly dancers. Number 2, if you find this useful, please share it with your friends, students, and classmates, and come visit my blog to get your free custom measurement calculator and more free resources to come. Thanks for watching and keep sparkling!